rare and balanced view on politics in today's world. Based on facts, born of rationality, common sense, and logic, providing context on today's events, this is American Perspective with Rick Thomas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to American Perspective. Sorry about that second. I had to think. I know it's kind of tough. It's really tough nowadays to think, you know. Anyway, all right, folks. I got a kind of a smattering of different stories, but you just can't. You really, for some people, especially for me, it's a little hard for me to comprehend how despicable these things, these people are. And by these people, I'm talking about, a lot of the people that we have elected as representatives. And I've got some things, to essentially, I've got some things to point out here. And we'll get through all of it, but believe me, these people, they're, I don't know. I don't understand it. I personally cannot fathom somebody who is willing and able to just throw away whatever principles. And maybe that's the answer, is they didn't have principles. They don't have principles, because if they did, I would assume that they wouldn't do this, but, well, I mean, I don't know. Anyway, all right, so let's go ahead and get things kicked off. Tonight is one of our fan favorites. That's right. One of the fan favorites of the pledge. Tonight is Coco, Cam, and Sean. And, so if you are of mind, please stand or remove your hat if you're wearing one, like me. Place your hand over your heart and follow along with Coco, Cam, and Sean as it's Cam, C-A-M. Jeez. Anyway, Coco, Cam, and Sean as they recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm sitting here arguing with my closed captioning here. Anyway, here they are.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, and I thank you, Coco, Cam, and Sean, for that wonderful rendition of the Pledge. If you would like to hear your rendition of the Pledge played here on the program, all you need to do is record yourself reciting or performing the Pledge in your style. Take that audio file, video file, whatever kind of file, and attach it to an email. Then address that email off to me. Send it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. That's fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. And I will get you into the rotation. I have 25 of these. I'd like to get 26 by the end of 2026. So if you haven't done yours yet, please do so. Send it off to me. And if you use your phone to record it, you can send use the share option. That's the SHARE option. That's the share option, and send it off to me. And send it to fans, FANS, at AmericanPerspective.online. My Whiskey Warrior P1s are arguing over what is a BLT, bacon, lettuce, and tomato. But apparently in California, they like to add avocado to it, so it's actually a BLTA. Yeah, I agree. BLTA. Oh, Californians and their avocados. Anyway. All righty. Let's go ahead and get to tonight's headline sponsor. Killing myself here. Oh, headline sponsor, of course, is The American View. That's right. TheAmericanView.com is their website where you can go and find out all about these people. Formerly known as the Institute on the Constitution, The American View is victorious. They prepare the victors. So their mission is to be an independent educational organization dedicated to the objective, textual, and historical study of the foundational documents of the United States, utilizing a rigorous primary source methodology. Our mission, meaning the American View's mission, is to examine the original context, personal correspondence, legal frameworks, and, this is the key point, Judeo-Christian philosophical traditions that guided the framers during the creation of the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. By analyzing the specific scriptural citations, historical sermons, and biblical principles explicitly referenced in the early American political discourse, we provide researchers, educators, and citizens with a factual, unpoliticized baseline for understanding how theology and history intersected to shape the structural heritage of American liberty. Now, you can start being a defender of truth, liberty, and God-given rights by checking out their U.S. Constitution course. It's on sale right now for $76. That's a special sale price for the 250th anniversary of this great nation. That's right, $76 for their U.S. Constitution course. You want to know what you're buying? Well, it's pretty simple. Come on up and check out their study page. Go to theamericanview.com/study, and you'll be able to get lesson 1 of that course for free. Start your constitutional journey. All you have to do is enter your first and last name along with your email. Press Get Lesson 1 free, and they will send it directly to your email box. That's right. And then you can go and learn at your own pace with the nationally recognized 100% online course. Fantastic value. And once you're done with that, go and check out the rest of their courses, and then consider joining their community, becoming a donator or a sponsor. Become a member, or even better yet, leave a legacy. Restore the Constitutional Republic. Restore the Constitutional Republic and prepare the future by hosting a course in your community. That's right, host a course. Pass along that legacy. Send it off into the sunset, man. Pass it on. Pass along your newfound knowledge. Head on over to theamericanview.com/become an instructor, and you'll be able to see how to become an instructor. It's 3 simple steps. It really is. It's really, really not that hard. And they will give you a boost. They will give you a boost because 5 tips for a successful class is the other video that you can see on their website, along with how to become an instructor. Then pick up their instructor kit. Head on over to their shop, and you'll be able to find that instructor kit along with all other kinds of wonderful information, products, services, etc. And then take a stop. Stop by the Legacy Library right here, right above my head, right here in the video. You go to the Legacy Library, they have got leather products there. Ooh, I love my leather. You get a leather Declaration of Independence, a leather Bill of Rights, a leather Magna Carta, the leather U.S. Constitution wall hangings. All of those are wall hangings, man. I got to tell you, whew, I looked at all those and I'm thinking, man, I need to get those. Got to frame them up, put them in nice, hermetically sealed frames, of course. But before I go and spend that kind of money, I went ahead and got a fabulous gift for myself and others. That's right here in the U.S. Constitution, leather-bound U.S. Constitution right here. That's right. And remember, it's got, according to G, Whiskey Warrior P1G, Roman numeral pages, American stitching, buddy tested, Billy tasted, the best of everything. You'll get all that here in just a second. And 3 Chevy says each rounded cornered book purchased will cause a liberal to have gastrointestinal dysfunction. Take a look at this wonderful book. We have 1/8 of an inch of Saddleback leather wrapped around pages that are water and tear resistant. No cheap glue here, folks. Stitched all the way through the leather and the pages contained within. It's got a 100-year warranty against materials and manufacturing defects, such that if you have a problem with this thing, you can send it back to the manufacturer and they will either fix it or replace it for free. My Whiskey Warriors long time know that it has sexy rounded corners. It is buddy tested, buddy approved, Billy tasted, Billy approved. And my youngest Whiskey Warrior has confirmed that the information contained within will help you to achieve that civics badge in Scouts, as well as pass a civics exam, if they still have those, and your naturalization test. Why not get a 3-fer off of one purchase? That's right. 3 for 1. Go and get your Constitution, leather-bound, pocket-sized U.S. Constitution. U.S. Constitution right here. Head on over to theamericanview.com. Go to their shop. Go to the Legacy Library and pick yours up today. Get them as gifts. Put them in the stockings at Christmas. Christmas is coming up. You might as well order them now. And you can hand them out to all of your friends, whether they be conservative, American-loving, or American-hating leftist lunatics. Either way, you'll have a lot of fun handing them out. You'll either get a lot of thanks, or you'll get the thanks by them trying to destroy the book and can't do it, or having those gastrointestinal dysfunctions. Like was pointed out earlier. Head on over to theamericanview.com and check out all of their stuff. And I thank them for being a sponsor of the program. G says, don't forget to get them in October. Get the Leather Constitution book in October and scare those leftist lunatics that are out there. Yeah, we should. Because believe me, they certainly give me heart attacks all the time. All right. Oh, you know, I didn't even mention what I am drinking tonight. Now that I've got everything out of the way, here we go. That's right, Four Roses. Floating in from the side is the Four Roses single barrel. Yes. And tonight it is in the sister glass. There's 2 sisters that come from my Whiskey Warrior P1s. This one is the It Takes Stones to Drink with Whiskey. There's the stones right there in the bottom. And of course, you know, my name is Whiskey. Anyway. All right. David over on Facebook. You arrived just in time, sir. All right, let me take a sip. Now, you know what's kind of interesting is David over on Facebook. He goes, Hey. Sorry I'm late. I hope I'm not too late for On This Day in American History. Laugh out loud. Well, laugh out loud. That's right. It's time for the factoids. I got to go get the book. Hold on. I forgot to grab this. So, David, you actually win the prize for, which isn't really much of a prize, but you win the prize for reminding the wonderful host here of the time. Today is Saturday. Whew, I got to go through all the sections because this section happens to be on the Constitution, but I got to go through all of it. Cool. Wow, because this section is in between the months. You know, we have the months. And the months themselves, God dang, how many pages are in here? There we go. The months themselves have little factoids, but in between the months, I'm telling you, this book is fantastic. In between the months is information that you would love to have. That one happened to be on the Constitution itself. So, all right, let's go ahead now that I've got my place. I've got my book. I've got my place. Now let's go ahead and do the thing. That's right. Tonight's On This Day in American History. And for On This Day in American History, we read from the American Patriots Almanac, written by William J. Bennett and John T.E. Cribb. It is chock full of all kinds of factoids about this great country that we call home. Yeah. All right. August 1st, let's talk about the U.S. population from 1790 to 2000. Yeah, this is August 1st. Okay. The Constitution requires that the government conduct a census once every 10 years. The results are used to allocate congressional seats, electoral votes, and government funding. The first U.S. Census reported that as of August 1st, 1790, the country contained nearly 4 million people. According to Census Bureau estimates, by 2010, the population had surpassed 308 million. And we all know that we're right around 330 million today. Just so you know. But you also have to remember that the country has like expanded quite a bit in those time frames. So in 1790, the population was just over 3 million people. The land area was only 864,746 square miles. That meant that there were 4.5 people per square mile here in the United States. Now, moving to 1880, the population rose to 50,189,2009, and the land area expanded to 3,540,705 square miles, which meant that there was approximately 14.2 people per square mile. And then we move on to 1950, for an example. And that was 151,325,798 people. The land had increased to 3,552,206 square miles. And that ended up having about 42.6 people per square mile. Well, in the year 2000, we had 281,424,603 people. Land area had increased to 3,537,438 square miles. That means that we had almost 80 people. That was 79.6 people per mile. Come a long way in 250 years. Plus 250 years this year. We're a little over that, just a tiny bit. But anyway, we've come a long way. We've increased our land area, and yeah, still have population challenges, population problems. All right. Well, let's talk real quick. establishment Democrats are not happy about these socialist candidates, and especially the ones that are like spouting off and saying all the strange crap that's going on, you know, like Mem Danny in New York City. You know, that idiot has floated reparations. Yeah, they seem to have this. It's amazing to me, these socialist, Marxist, communist morons. And yeah, I kind of lump them all together. But these people all sit here and they all talk about, well, you know, we need to give reparations. Yeah, reparations for what? I mean, seriously, there's not a single person alive today who used to be a slave. Not a single one. There's not a single person alive today who is in America, who is an American, I should say, who has owned slaves. It just doesn't exist. So, yeah. Anyway. Some of these establishment Democrats are saying that the socialist candidates could actually cost the party the midterms. I'm hoping so, people. I am hoping so, because believe me, I would love to see the Democrat Party crash and burn. I just do. I would just love to see them crash and burn. That's. Now, granted, I'm not really into the whole idea of a single party rule. I would certainly hope that there would be another faction of, say, the conservatives, maybe the Constitution Party, for an example, that would grow and expand its coverage of the United States. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, these socialist candidates who are absolutely anti-American, anti-everything that America stands for. But here's the part that I find this very despicable from these people. You heard Adam Schiff yesterday. I played the Adam Schiff thing where he says, we've got a really big tent. We've got a big tent, and we want everybody to be a part of that tent. Everyone. Yeah. Everybody can be a part of the tent, especially the socialists, because they're doing what we want, which is essentially we want to destroy America. See, they don't want America to exist anymore. And that's the whole thing. Well, there are some, we'll call them halfway intelligent people. At least they're starting to recognize that maybe partnering with your enemy, or the enemy of my enemy is my friend, that whole partnership, yeah, that might be a bit of a problem. Apparently, Douglas Schoen and Carly Cooperman, they're partners at a public opinion company called Schoen Cooperman Research. Well, that's a surprise. Anyway, they say there's emerging evidence that Democrats are being harmed by perceptions that the party is drifting toward socialism. Okay, Schoen and Cooperman, just going to tell you right now, it's not perceptions. It's not perceptions that the party is drifting toward socialism. The party is literally drifting toward socialism. Now, to give you an idea who these people are, Douglas Schoen is a veteran of the Democratic President Bill Clinton's 1996 campaign, as well as Hillary Clinton's 2008 bid for the party's presidential nomination. Now, alarming to these Democrats is the fact that President Donald Trump's low approval ratings have not translated into the expected polling advantage for Democratic candidates heading into the midterms in November, in which control of the House and Senate is obviously going to be decided. Trump's approval rating right now has been hovering just under 40% since May. However, the most recent YouGov Economist poll in late July, Democrats outperformed Republicans by only 4 points. For comparison, Democrats consistently polled 7 to 13 points ahead of Republicans prior to the 2018, quote, blue wave election. Now, Schoen and Cooperman say that such a narrow lead suggests that heightened focus on the socialist progressive candidates of late severely hurts Democrats' ability to capitalize on widespread anti-Trump sentiment. Well, first of all, there isn't widespread anti-Trump sentiment. I don't know where these people get this idea. Anti-Trump sentiment. Now, granted, Trump's approval rating is in the toilet right now, basically, underwater. But there's a reason for that, and that's because of the fact that, well, I mean, let's be honest. The war in Iran hasn't really done a whole heck of a lot for our economy. But if he can finish that off, and he can get oil prices, gas prices, and things like that to actually drop, which they will, they'll drop like a stone as soon as Iran is completed. But if he can get all that taken care of, then, yeah, we should be fine. Should be fine. Now, keep in mind, Zoran Mamdani, out in New York, seems to have become the face of the Democratic Socialist movement. And he's been clashing directly with the Democratic Party establishment in the city in order to remake its congressional delegation in what is known as his image. Mamdani backed 3 progressive socialist-aligned candidates who were successful in unseating incumbents or their establishment-backed opponents. Don't forget that. Don't forget we had Maine has gone absolutely nuts and went from a Nazi-loving sexual predator over to a man who apparently had babies with his second cousin. And they talk about, you know, the old adage of Arkansas. The Appalachians, you know, the Appalachians have problems. Yeah. Well, no, this guy that is replacing Graham Plattner up in Maine apparently has 2 kids with his second cousin. Now, I don't think they're married. I don't recall, but I don't think they're married. Anyway, I mean, where do these people get this from? I mean, seriously, Troy Jackson, he's not directly affiliated with the DSA, but he's backed by those organizations and shares many of the policy goals. And then you also have, you know, don't forget Michigan's Democrat Senate primary. Tuesday, the front runner is Abdul El Sayed, who's backed by Democratic Socialists Sanders and AOC. Even though he's not affiliated with the DSA, he espouses many of the similar organizational goals. Okay. So, yeah. Now, according to Schoen and Cooperman, affiliation with the DSA is not necessary to hurt the Democrat Party. It's like Republicans don't need every Democrat to be DSA members to brand all Democrats as socialists. Well, I mean, let's be honest. They all are socialists nowadays. Every single one of them. I mean, you heard Adam Schiff. He's like, oh, yeah, our tent's so big, we don't care. Just come into the tent. It's so big. We got to have the big tent because we want to have people. We want to be in control. Yeah. That's their whole purpose. Mm-hmm. Now, these two said in a Monday op-ed published in The Hill Republicans do not need every Democrat to be Democrat Socialists of America to members to brand all Democrats as socialists. They simply need enough high-profile Democrats on the party's left-wing fringe to make the caricature stick. No, we don't need to make the caricature stick, folks, because you, in terms of the Democrats, you guys have always made the caricature stick. You are anti-American hating, anti-Israel, anti-anything good in this world. Yeah. So then, of course, you also don't forget, you have DSA's co-chair, Megan Romer, going on cable news last Sunday. You saw that video. Yeah, they're fully embracing the idea of just abolishing the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, every single structure that we in America have lived under and for across everything. Yeah. They want to get rid of all of it. Excuse me for a second. Sorry, kitty cat wanted out. Anyway, yeah, it's is just crazy. Yeah, they really are this despicable because the leftist lunatics, the Democrats, are like, hey, you know what? We don't care if they're leftist lunatics. We really don't. Well, a few people also tend to agree with Schoen and who's the other person? Schoen and Cooperman. There's a few people who believe in the same thing, or in this same vein. Senator Mark Kelly. Now, I'm amazed that I'm even agreeing with this guy. You know, he's one of the seditious six. He's blaming, partially anyway, blaming his party's low approval ratings on the far left demands, such as abolishing the police and defunding the Pentagon. He was speaking on the show Next Question with Katie Couric, where Kelly said the rhetoric calling for abolishing police departments, eliminating prisons, removing border enforcement, and defunding the Pentagon have damaged the party's image. Kelly is quoted as saying, there are folks out there that say things that just don't make sense to the American people, like abolish the police, or get rid of jails and prisons, get rid of the border, defund the Pentagon. How about abolish the Constitution, abolish the Declaration of Independence, get rid of all of it? Yeah. Yeah. Kelly added, those things don't make sense. Some of them, I think, associated with Democrats. Well, no shit. We're associating it with Democrats because that's who you are. You've always been. Where in the hell does Mark Kelly come up with the idea that, no, defund the police is not a Democrat stance? Hello? McFly, anybody remember the Summer of Love, the whole BLM defund the police movement? That was nothing but Democrats. Really? Yeah, these people really are despicable. They don't really care. They're just like, the only reason why they're doing this, honestly, is that these establishment Democrats, they want to stay in power. They don't want to necessarily have to answer to the fact that, hey, we're allowing the 1/3 of the party that is the total leftist lunatic stuff. Yeah, we're allowing them to be in charge. Anyway. Yeah. Now, asked whether or not the ideological divide could hurt Democrats politically, Kelly answered, it could cost us some seats. I think that's very, very possible. Kelly mentioned that he has directed $10 million during the current election cycle toward candidates that he believes can win competitive races and support what he describes as practical policies. He goes, I tend to steer away from the stuff that is never going to happen. He's referring to proposals that he characterized as generating a lot of noise. Kelly expressed confidence Democrats can retake the House in November, though he acknowledged that winning back the Senate will be more difficult. Personally, I hope they go down in flames. And folks, don't be surprised if you see Mark Kelly as a possibility for the 2028 presidential campaign, because he confirmed it to Katie Couric. He confirmed that he is seriously considering a 2028 presidential run. Yeah. He did say that his wife, former Representative Gabby Giffords, supports the idea, but emphasized that any decision would depend on whether or not he believes he has a realistic path to victory. Senator Mark Kelly, let me just point something out to you. You do not have a path to victory. Nobody really knows your name outside of the political sphere and outside of the state of Arizona. I'm just saying, you do not have a national presence. You're in the same boat as somebody like Ron DeSantis was before he popped on stage going after the nomination when Donald Trump was in charge. You guys just don't get it. You don't seem to understand. You need a national presence. You need to be known further outside of your small little fiefdom. You may be a big fish in that small pond, but the minute you get dumped into the national pond, man, you become nothing. That's kind of like what happened with Tim Walz. Tim Walz was a big nothing, and then he got dumped into the bigger pond. And what happened to him? Well, all of his skeletons and dirty laundry came out, and that's part of what sunk the Kamala Harris, Tim Walz campaign. Speaking of Kamala Harris, I don't know where she gets this idea, but for all of this arguing that everybody's doing on the Democrat Party side, for all of this arguing that all these people are saying, the Democrat socialists, yeah, the far left fringe, yeah, they're just crazy. It's sure kind of interesting that they say that in public. Oh, they're just crazy. And yet they back it. They back it. They back all of that stuff. See, they say one thing in front of the cameras. Oh, no. We're not going to try and get rid of, the institutions that have carried this country for 250 years. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. And then behind the scenes, one of the first things they do is, oh, yeah, we're going to do it. Well, apparently Kamala Harris has decided that she wasn't leftist enough in 2024. Take a look at this. Can't even imagine this. Anyway, Kamala Harris backs major changes to the Supreme Court, the Electoral College, ahead of a possible 2028 campaign. The former vice president embraced these progressive proposals that she actually avoided during her 2024 campaign against President Donald Trump. Yeah. These people. I guess they're deciding that they are just more, the farther left they go, the better chance they might have. Anyway, yesterday, Kamala Harris embraced a series of progressive policy proposals that she did not campaign on in 2024, including the idea of expanding the Supreme Court, abolishing the Electoral College, as she continues to weigh a potential 2028 presidential bid. Let's be honest. She is going to run. I'm just going to put it out there. She is going to run. She's going to try. She's going to try. So, speaking to the National Urban League Conference in Nashville, Tennessee, she endorsed several proposals that she did not publicly campaign on during her 2024 White House run. She goes, we must allow for a real conversation about revisiting certain things. I know this is going to be controversial coming from me in particular. We need to revisit the Electoral College. No, we do not. See, I get so tired of discussing this. I really am. But, you know, when you're dealing with stupid people, it's almost like you can take a bat and hit them over the head many times. And most of the time they won't say ow because they honestly don't feel the bat hitting them in the head. They're so, their heads are so thick. The thing about it is that the Electoral College is part of what makes us a constitutional republic. See, for anybody who is a student of history, such as myself, the Electoral College was specifically designed to prevent a democracy rule. It was specifically designed to prevent mob rule, and in particular, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 large populist states. And by populist, remember we were talking about population here not too long ago in the on this day in American history. But what the Electoral College prevents is states like California, Illinois, New York, Texas. I mean, I'm throwing Texas in there because, and Florida, those are like the 4 or 5 most populous states. It prevents all of them from running the damn country and being able to elect the president every single presidential year. That's the point of the Electoral College, is to make it so that all of the other countries, because if you take 5 off of 50, what does that leave you? 45 states. You think about that for a second? 5 states. If we were to go and just vote by popular vote, just 5 states would be able to control the presidency forever. Forever. And you wouldn't be able to get that back. And so what would happen? You would never see the president in North Dakota. You would never see the president in Montana or Wyoming or Washington or Oregon or Idaho. You would see them campaign in just 5 states. California, Florida, New York, Illinois, and Texas. That's it. That's all they'd campaign in. What would be the point to campaign anywhere else? If you're not going to be able to win, through attrition. See, and I actually even go so far as to say this whole idea, you really want to fix the Electoral College. The easiest way to fix the Electoral College is simply this. Throw out the idea that 48 states give a winner take all. Get rid of that. Each Electoral College person votes specifically for their district. That's it. And what you'll end up with is a country that looks more like what you see in the county by county maps. And by the way, that would make it to where you would no longer have quote unquote swing states anymore. It wouldn't be the states that would be actually making the decision. It would end up being the people, and you would have to gain the larger number of districts in order to gain all of the Electoral College votes. So rather than California, and this is how stupid this is, If you take a look at a map of California, okay, or a map of Washington or a map of Oregon, you would see that it's only the population centers that are actually Democrats. You would see more rural areas of almost every single state. They generally tend to vote Republican. And so what would end up happening in order to resolve this particular situation is you would end up with, and keep in mind, the Electoral College is broken and divided up evenly. Okay? It is clearly divided up. It's the most even. It's like 700,000 people make up one Electoral College vote. And so California's 55 Electoral College votes would no longer be just 55 Electoral College votes for Democrats. Same thing with Washington. Same thing with Oregon. They wouldn't just automatically be assumed, okay, they're going to go to Democrats, the entire thing. No. You would end up seeing these states that would have more of a realistic split. You would see states that would normally be, now granted, okay, keep in mind, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota that constantly vote Republican, yeah, they're going to exist. Places like Maine and Rhode Island, they're probably Virginia, Massachusetts, they're probably going to be Democrats, more than likely, for sure. But where the breakdown would actually happen is you would start seeing places like, Texas. Texas would have maybe 4 or 5 or 6, whatever, votes for Democrats. The rest would go Republican. And the same kinds of things for Washington and Oregon and California and things like that. And I use those 3 in particular because that's the quote-unquote left coast. You wouldn't see the packed in, like always, and this is one of the things that irritates the hell out of me every single presidential election. Before you even get the votes in, like none of the polls closing west of the Mississippi. You could have the president himself or herself could be elected by like midnight because the predictions are, well, I mean, we already know that, Oregon and California and Washington are always going to go Democrat. So we just automatically assume that those are all going to get, no, you don't do that. All of that crap would stop. Hopefully. Anyway. Yeah. Now keep in mind, of course, that Harris lost both the Electoral College as well as the popular vote. Not that that really matters. Now, she's also voiced support at this little thing that, we need to expand the Supreme Court. Why do we need to expand the court? What we need to do is actually elect justices that are smart, that are intelligent, that are originalists. I mean, even one of the quote-unquote originalist, Gorsuch, he freaking recently was not originalist, saying that the country is not a Judeo-Christian country. It is bullcrap. It absolutely is. But she goes and she says, we need to revisit the point of expanding the court to 13 justices like we have 13 district courts. Really? Why? I don't seem to recall anything in the Constitution that stated without a doubt that, the number of district courts is the number of seats you need on the SCOTUS. So, yeah. Anyway. Now, keep in mind that while Harris has previously supported term limits for Supreme Court justices, expanding the court was not part of her 2024 campaign platform. She also suggested that the U.S. should revisit statehood, of course, for Puerto Rico, expanding beyond her previous support of statehood for Washington, D.C. Now, of course, she says that, no, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to go for the president in 2028. I don't know. Yeah. People. They're just so despicable. She goes, I have not made a decision. I am fully, sincerely focused on these midterms. Sure you are. You're not even helping at all in the midterms, sweetheart. Yeah. Anyway. We're never going to get rid of cackles. We're just not. Well, speaking of despicable, even their own people are like, we got a bit of a problem. See, the leftists that are running the Democrat Party right now, like the Democrat Socialists of America and the Islamofascists like Ma'am Danny in New York, they're even scaring their own people away. This in the Daily Caller, a Democrat official won't attend a party convention amid fear of anti-Jewish harassment. Now, I seem to recall somewhere, I could be wrong. I'm not wrong. It's very rare for me to be wrong. But I seem to recall that somewhere was saying that the Democrats were very inclusive. They were the inclusive party. That the Republicans are the ones that aren't inclusive. The Republicans are the white, supremacist, racist, misogynistic, homophobic, etc. party. Well, that's interesting, because the Michigan Attorney General said that she's not going to attend the Democratic primary convention over fears of anti-Semitism. Yeah. Oh, David, I don't know if they would survive that, to be honest. David over on Facebook suggests Trump should just identify as a female or one of the other 5,000 genders that the leftists come up with. Preferably female, change his name to Donna Trump and run as the first female president, and then see how fast the left reverse their own policies. Yeah, anyway. So the Democratic Attorney General in Michigan, Dana Nessel, said she's not going to attend the Michigan Democrat Party's nominating convention in August over concerns for her safety. During a Thursday roundtable that was hosted by none other than the Anti-Defamation League, the Michigan Advance reported. This comes after federal investigators said that they believe that Hezbollah, or Hezbollah, however you want to pronounce it, inspired the March attack on the Temple Israel in Michigan's West Bloomfield Township. They're driving even their own away. They're driving even their own away. Yeah. Speaking of being driven away, you remember Ma'am Danny? I know, I keep coming back to that socialist idiot. Anyway, remember him? Remember not too long ago, he doxed a whole bunch of pied-à-terre folks. He put out, hey, everybody who owns a vacation home in New York, here's the list. All of these people will be part of that pied-à-terre tax. For those of you that don't know, pied-à-terre is basically an additional tax that someone who does not use the property as their current residency would be subjected to in New York. Meaning that if you happen to own like a New York flat and only show up there, for a vacation or whatever, I don't know why anybody would vacation in New York. It's beyond me. But originally, the whole pied-à-terre tax was supposed to be for people who were, valued at like, I can't remember, 50 million and above or whatever. Yeah, well, that whole list that came out actually listed a whole bunch of people who aren't even close. They're like worth $500,000 instead of the 50 million that was originally put out, or whatever the number actually was. Well, there's a liberal podcaster who kind of got, a little pissed. They put out a list, New York did, Oh, and I guess it was only supposed to apply to non-primary residences worth over $5 million. And it was because of the fact that Ma'am Danny was saying, "Hey, I'm going after the rich." All right. Well, this database, they put out this searchable database of about 960,000 people in residences that were reported as people who could be subject to the tax. Well, there's a guy, he's a liberal podcaster by the name of Scott Galloway. He was a supporter of the tax, except now he doesn't like it. I'll let him explain why he doesn't like it. Take a listen.
And I've been doxxed.
You've been doxxed. What? Tell me.
So I don't know if you've heard, but Mayor Mamdani has decided to release a list of the 950,000 residences with addresses and names that might be eligible for his pied-à-terre tax. I came out in favor of this tax. This is the definition. He's taken a legitimate source of tax revenue and he's turning it into a wanted poster. And the question I would have is, other than trying to identify and imply these people have done something wrong, and then 18 months after a healthcare CEO was executed in the street and then published the list, what is the upside here? Why is he doing this?
He's doing it because you idiots have said, okay, well, we're going to back this guy. We're going to back him. He's going to be, great, fantastic. Now, he read out the definition of doxing as, quote, publishing private identifying information to expose someone to public pressure or harm without their consent. Really? Really? Yeah. I mean, these people, they're stupid. These people are dumb. These people are incredibly stupid, and you're right. Payoed, I hope I'm pronouncing it correct, over on Pilled.net. Take a look at this, because karma is a bitch. Yeah, you're right. You are right. Karma is a bitch, and these people don't seem to get it. You are friends with them only as long as you are useful to them. You no longer become useful, you get 86. Yeah. Yeah. Galloway. This is a guy, he's a leftist. He's a leftist podcaster. I don't know how he's making that. God, I wish I could make that kind of money being a podcaster, being able to own a place in New York City, to be a part of that doxed list. I mean, not saying that I would be happy about it, but man, God, it would just be nice just to be able to make that kind of money. Anyway, and believe me, I make literally $0 on this program. Anyway, yeah. So, yeah. Well, so, Ma'am Danny has said that the property tax roll, or the tax property roll that was posted last week, is a reflection of all of the properties across New York City, not a reflection of those specifically that would be part of the pied-à-terre tax that will be levied upon. Yeah, he's trying to backpedal, doing the backstroke. He's swimming in the pool, doing the backstroke. Anyway, yeah, that it wasn't how the thing was laid out. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and just yeah. Anyway, just see what happens. But these guys, I'm telling you, they're despicable. You cannot hate these people enough. You really can't. You really can't. All right. Well, yeah, arguably, the dumbest SCOTUS jurist, and I use that term very loosely because she's actually an activist. She doesn't even know how dumb she is. I mean, I'm serious. And most of these people don't even know how dumb they are. They really don't. And they don't recognize how out of touch they are with this. See, one of the things that you need to understand is that, KBJ, Ketanji Brown Jackson, she is the most political of all of the justices. In just the last year she has been on the court alone, she has sided with the left. Again, she's an activist. Sided with the left more times than any other justice, including her sisters, in the realm of Kagan and Sotomayor. Well, she decided to go on Michelle Obama's podcast, which I don't know if she's making any money, but man, I got to tell you, I got to figure out what the hell I'm doing wrong. Anyway, Ketanji Brown Jackson is not known for her neutrality at all. In fact, she's very well known for the fact that she is anything but neutral on stuff. But, she kind of, oh God, these people are stupid. They're just totally despicable and stupid. Take a listen.
You know, there are lots of limits on what judges can do. And I try to be very, very mindful and scrupulous with respect to that because, as you say, our obligation is to be unbiased in our approach. And so you have to then navigate all the sources that could make for an appearance of partiality, which you want to avoid. So there are lots of things that I end up not accepting for that reason. News sources, I think, I don't have a lot of time, unfortunately, but I do, the normal general media sources are made available. And I think it's harder when you're talking about, there's so much social media now.
No, this is a whole different world.
It's a whole different world, and not everything is reliable. And the hardest part for judges is that we really cannot participate.
Probably saving you some brain cells.
Exactly.
Too. But we need you focused on your opinions.
Yes.
No. We need her focused on what she actually should be focused on, which is impartial application of the law. Yeah. Well, anyway, oh, yeah, we need to be impartial. We got to avoid political bias, except for the fact that that's all you do. That's all you do is present political bias. That's it. Oh, yeah, there's lots of limits on what judges can do. No, not according to you. You think that judges can dictate legislation from the bench, sweetheart. Right. Anyway, the title of that episode, by the way, is Moving Through the Hard Times with Ketanji Brown Jackson. In case anybody wants to look it up. No. Yeah. Yeah. And, here's the other part, too, that I think a lot of people miss, is the fact that she is on, Michelle Obama's podcast. Totally leftist. I'm just saying. Totally leftist. Oh, yeah. Anyway. Some people kind of let her know on X about this. Somebody wrote, Ketanji Brown Jackson can't be real. She says it is important to be neutral on as a Supreme Court justice while she is literally on a major leftist's Obama podcast. Make it make sense. Somebody else posted, she really doesn't expect anyone to believe that, does she? Yeah. Another one posts, if you listen to Ketanji Brown Jackson on Michelle Obama's podcast, you'll understand why Democrats think women are too dumb to get voter ID. Yeah, well, she, now keep in mind, as I'm being reminded multiple times by my Whiskey Warrior P1s, Ketanji Brown Jackson, who arguably could be considered a woman, doesn't know the definition of the word woman. Can't even explain what a woman is. Just saying. All right. Really quick, I gotta give a correction here. PO'd is the way that this individual, where is it? This is how it's pronounced, is PO'd, as in pissed off. Well, I agree with you, PO'd. I think we all should be pissed off at how stupid people are coming here. Anyway. Yeah. Going on a podcast where all you're going to get is a love fest from one of the most leftist, they say women, people in America. Yeah, I don't. Anyway. All right. Okay. Well, let's get to something serious here. Todd Blanche's nomination is now on hold. The Senate Judiciary Committee has gone ahead and rescheduled that vote. They have rescheduled it for 9 a.m. this coming Tuesday. 9 a.m. this Tuesday is when the vote is going to come through. Now, you'll recall the reason why it ended up being rescheduled is because of the fact that Cornyn and Tillis, who are on the Senate Judiciary Committee for this election, both of them have said, no, I'm not going to vote for him. And the reason why they don't want to vote for him has everything to do with this what was their correct term here? The anti-weaponization fund for the Department of Justice. That's the whole reason why they are blocking this. Well, some major critics, Republicans, are raging at these two. They're rhinos, let's be honest. They don't care. They're on their way out. They got short-timer syndrome. All they want to do is just muck everything up because Trump screwed them over, didn't back them, and they got primaried. That's why they're pissed. Anyway, they're sitting there and they are threatening to block Blanche's confirmation. Now, that being said, somebody has to remember, because, my memory and many people's memory who have actual intelligence here is a little bit longer than the 3 minutes that a leftist has. But both of these two backed Attorney General Merrick Garland under Biden. I started to say Obama, but Biden. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, they backed Attorney General Merrick Garland's confirmation, and they characterized Garland as experienced and bipartisan when he wasn't. He's nowhere near bipartisan. And both of these rhinos swore that Garland was going to be a responsible leader of the Department of Justice. See, this is why these people are despicable. They keep going back on themselves. I mean, I'm sorry, in today's day and age, and believe me, I am extremely thankful over the fact that most of my stupid shit that I did, that most of my stuff is unrecordable. Nobody recorded it for any posterity reasons, per se. Now, keep in mind that Garland, during the Biden presidency, oversaw a DOJ that twice indicted Trump for no reason, prosecuted pro-life activists under obscure federal laws, investigated traditional Catholics as potential violent extremists, which were all politically motivated. We know that they were politically motivated. We know this. Okay? Anyway. Yeah. Cornyn told reporters on Capitol Hill regarding his threat to block Blanche, said, "I think I'm prepared to vote no, but I do think I owe it to my constituents and Mr. Blanche to try to renegotiate in good faith." And that's what we've been doing. So we'll see where things are in this morning and where we go from here. Now, here's part of the problem. Again, as I pointed to you, the reason why these two idiots are trying to block this is because of the fact that Donald Trump put in that anti-weaponization bill. And at first, Trump was like, well, you know, if you guys don't want Blanche to get confirmed, well, I'll just pull his nomination, wait until you two idiots are out of office, and then put him forward again. I mean, he's still going to be acting attorney general. So why? You know, why does it matter? Anyway. Well, Trump decided to go back on that and said, look, if you don't confirm Blanche, then I absolutely will push for a anti-weaponization bill. Well, Tillis didn't like that. Tillis apparently came out and says, yeah, you know, despite the comments saying that that fund is dead, President Trump clearly intends to resurrect the payout, and he calls it. Now, this is the key here. This is the key right here. He goes, it's a payout pot for punks, either by inappropriately establishing another bogus fund or pushing Congress to vote for a bill that the majority of Republicans in the Senate would be against. Folks, I got to point something out to you. So you're sitting here and you're talking about this whole thing like, anti-weaponization fund. Oh my gosh, you know, people, the American people, who have been persecuted against by the DOJ, having an ability to apply for and receive compensation for that falsely done stuff. That sounds to me like a more American kind of thing to do. You know, it's for the people, which, by the way, the reason that the anti-weaponization fund was even going to be funded had nothing to do with Congress, by the way. Originally, Trump was going to take his settlement from the IRS suit that he had, where the IRS illegally disclosed his tax returns. It was a member of the IRS who did it. But the IRS illegally exposed his tax returns when he didn't physically release them. And he was going to take that money, and rather than take it for himself, he was going to fund this anti-weaponization fund. That's what he was going to do with it. Okay? Well, yeah. These guys are against this. Now, why are they against this? I have no idea why they're against this. Because here, if you take a look in Newsweek, and by the way, I mean, this was, let's see, when was this article? I'm going to try and find it here. It was updated April 29th of this year. Newsweek article, Congress's sexual harassment slush fund, everything that we know. Oh, wait a minute. I thought that they couldn't have, funds, you know, they didn't want funds to be a part of this. That they didn't, oh yeah, you know, the anti-weaponization fund. No, I don't want just a bucket of money to sit there for, you know, people who, you know, may have actually been harmed by wrongful prosecution to have some sort of a recourse. You know, I seem to recall there's a First Amendment that states that the people have the ability to petition their government for redress of grievances. I seem to recall that. That's like in the Constitution. Yeah. Anyway, Congress apparently, and of course, all of the sexual misconduct allegations that have been coming out, especially the one in this particular case, facing former California Democratic Representative Eric Swalwell. Yeah, the House Oversight subpoenaed records for the Congressional Sexual Harassment Slush Fund. Anna Paulina Luna, the Florida Republican representative, posted on X, said maybe we'll see more resignations. You never know. Now, here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. This quote-unquote slush fund, and it's not just for sexual allegations, just to be clear. This is for any harassment allegation that comes on the part of an employee of a congressperson. So they're using tax dollars based on the Congressional Accountability Act of 1995. Now, it was revised under the Me Too movement, the whole Me Too movement. But Congress has for decades had a taxpayer funded. This is Newsweek here, people. This is a leftist outlet. I'm not this isn't a right-leaning thing. This is a leftist outlet here. Congress has for decades had a taxpayer-funded system for settling workplace disputes, including sexual harassment, that was created under the Congressional Accountability Act of 1995. I'd really, really, really want to know what item under Article 1, Section 8, does this fall under? You know, and I seem to recall a story, true story, of Daniel Boone being in Congress, paying out $20,000 or something out of government funds to go to the people of Georgetown in Washington, D.C., when they were hit with a fire that wiped out Georgetown. And then him going home to his home state, and the home state person, because he was up for re-election, and he walked around and was, because they didn't have, social media or anything like that back then. And he was walking around trying to get votes, and he ran across this farmer who basically said, I know people down the road who are just as deserving of that $20,000. But you need to understand, Mr. Boone, Congressman Boone, that money isn't yours. That money's not for you to hand out. That money is for you to do specific items. Article 1, Section 8, specific items. That money isn't just thrown into a pot and anybody can pull from it for their own little pet projects. No, that money is supposed to go to 18 enumerated specific items in the Constitution. Of those 18, a full 1/3, 6 of them have to deal with national defense. There is not one item in that list, and believe me, I've read through it multiple times. There's not one item in that list that says that taxpayer money is supposed to go to protect the elected congressman from harassments and workplace disputes. There's not one item in there that even references any of that. Not a single one. And yet here is yet again another thing that Congress has stepped outside of the constitutional boundaries because they want to protect themselves. And this is part of the problem. Now here's the thing. Over $18 million has been paid out of that fund. They've settled nearly 300 workplace disputes related to pay, discrimination, harassment, along with other issues from 1997 all the way up to 2019. $18 million to settle the fact that some congressman or congresswoman decided to play grab ass with somebody in their office, or decided to say, well, you're a woman, so you're not going to get paid as much. Really? Yeah. And by the way, all of these disputes concerned not only Congress, but the Capitol Police, the architect of the Capitol, and the Library of Congress. Again, I'm asking you, and I want, if you're a leftist out there, if you're a leftist lunatic who truly believes that they know the Constitution, explain to me which one of those 18 enumerated items in Article 1, Section 8 covers this or anything else. Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, welfare, all of those other things that we've been spending thousands and thousands and upon millions of dollars, billions of dollars. It doesn't, folks. It doesn't. And so they're sitting here and they're arguing over this fact. Well, you don't want an anti-weaponization fund because, oh my gosh, far be it for the American people to actually get money when the DOJ steps outside of its comfort zone. Yeah. When the DOJ actually persecutes people wrongly for stuff, the federal government there's no recourse. I seem to recall the First Amendment saying at the very end of it that the American people have the right to petition their government for a redress of grievances. Seems like that would be an efficient and probable use of money, of taxpayer dollars, rather than all of this other crap that we've got going on. Yeah, Bonnie mentioned, we put into Social Security separate from taxes. Yes, sort of. Congress screwed that up by taking that Social Security and dumping it into the general fund. If it had been put in and specifically left the way that it was, you could make that argument. But it's broke. It's gone. There's no money there. It won't be in 2032. Everybody keeps saying that. And not a single person has been able to come up with a way that Social Security can continue to go forward. Because the way that Social Security works is the expectation that we are going to have a larger pool of people who are working and putting into it than are pulling out of it. And the problem is with our current situation, the problem that we're in is with our current situation is that we don't have enough people working right now and contributing. And you could make that argument any way you want, but we're not putting the money in, enough money in to backfill for the people who are taking it out. And there's a lot of reasons behind it. There's a lot of reasons behind it. You've got longevity. People are retiring earlier, living longer. You've got, more draws on Social Security than what used to be because they opened up the ability for other people to draw it as well. There's a lot of reasons why. The fact that the caps, they're talking, there's some people are talking about, no, even the rich no longer get caps anymore. They should no longer have a cap. Well, they kind of do. They have to, because they don't work in a traditional way. But we could have all kinds of conversations and arguments about that. But the plain and simple fact is Tom Tillis and John Cornyn sitting here talking about, this anti-weaponization fund. You guys have a slush fund for freaking idiots. So anyway. Speaking of money and things like that, which, by the way, keep in mind, Democrat senators, 196 of them, voted down a bill that would stop those same people in Congress from doing trading. I mean, they have the essentially insider trading. They have the pure definition of that because they can make a law on something, and that law will affect how a company runs. And what ends up happening is you end up with that law being passed. All of a sudden now that company is no longer worth the money, or maybe worth a hell of a lot more money. And so having insider information, knowing whether or not the law is going to pass, puts Congress people in a position to be able to make intelligent trading decisions. Well, the Democrats voted that down. Now, reportedly, the reason why they voted it down, which I personally think this is a scapegoat, but they voted it down in the House because of the fact that the SAVE Act, some of the SAVE Act provisions were a part of the bill. I think that's crap. The reason why they voted it down is they literally didn't want to be blocked from making their trades. Now, keep in mind, that's gone over to the Senate now, and the Senate is still hanging on, trying to figure it out. But all of that being said, the Democrat senators that are over there refusing to sign the SAVE Act, which, 80+% of the American people are behind, the Dem senators are now working on a bill that would essentially force Trump to divest from his digital assets, meaning his Trump coins, his True Social, all of that stuff. That he needs to sell all of that off, according to them. Yeah. Sure. So again, these people are despicable. They have no desire, no ethics, no morals, no standards. They have no thing whatsoever to dealing with this. Well, as we close here really quick, I just want to point out John Adams, one of our founding fathers. Because you got to remember, our debt, okay, is approaching $40 trillion. John Adams is quoted as saying, democracy never lasts long. It soon wastes, exhausts, and murders itself. There was never a democracy yet that did not commit suicide. He was our second president, founding father. He wrote those words more than 2 centuries ago, and yet today they are very relevant. Because of the fact that we have allowed, we the people, and the government itself, has been able to go and work outside of its constitutional boundaries and has made it such that we are literally looking at the end of America. If we can't figure out a way to get this beast back into its constitutional box, I unfortunately don't feel like that America is going to be around for long. And if we allow these DSA idiots to jump in and get a hold of all this, yeah, they're even worse. The useful idiots of the Soviet Union's plans to destroy America from within. Yuri Bezmenov was right. And we have a lot of useful idiots out there. Alrighty, folks, that is it for me for this evening. Do me a favor, if you haven't already, head on over to rumble.com, get yourself an account. It is free. And once you are signed up and signed in, make sure that you search up the American Perspective channel and hit that green follow button to get notified every time that I go live. Also, don't forget my new streaming platform, pilled.net. That's PILLED.net. Go and check it out. Sign up over there and, check it all out. All right. We will see you Monday, right here on American Perspective, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great rest of your weekend, and don't forget to hit me a thumbs up thumbs down, or in the case of 3 Chevy, a thumb sideways or at an angle across all my platforms. Whether it's X, YouTube, Facebook, pilled.net, which is red pill is good, blue pill is bad, or, of course, the aforementioned Rumble. As I said, we'll see you Monday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on American Perspective. Have a great rest of your evening, and good night, everybody.